Hey there, welcome back. On today's video, I want to talk about some tips that I wish I had known when playing Genshin Impact for the first time. We are currently Adventure Rank 32, almost to Adventure Rank 33, and we actually have most of our resin consumables. So I think this puts us at either close to or the front of the pack in terms of players on global who are pushing adventure rank. And on the way there, we just learned lots of things. Some of these things you may already know, some you may not, but hopefully this video helps you in at least one way, and we'll just go through the tips, okay? The very first thing I want to talk about is Mora. You are going to spend lots and lots of Mora, and people often ask me on stream, how are you going to make more Mora? Are you going to run ley lines? And I don't think that's a good use of your resin, or what else can you do? And you're also going to, if you're like me and you're running around the world collecting all these treasure chests, you're going to hit inventory cap. This says inventory cap is 30,000, but I promise you it's much lower than that. There's actually a maximum cap on your artifacts, and you won't be able to pick artifacts up if you reach it. And you'll be like, well, why can't I pick this up? You reached the cap. So what can you do? Well, you can spend a lot of your artifacts to upgrade other artifacts, which has an adventurer book achievement, but that's going to cost you more, and you're inevitably going to feel crunched. Holy moly, I'm out of money. But what you can actually do is, see this little button down here that's a trash can? If you use this button and it says select items to destroy, you can remove these items from your inventory. But they don't just go away like would be implied if you were to trash them in another game. They actually give you Mora back. So if you have items that you're trying to get rid of, or you're thinking about farming Mora, just go out into the world and beat some things that are going to drop artifacts, and then come in here and destroy these artifacts, and you can make a whole bunch of Mora. And it's really easy. It'll help you keep your inventory clear. You won't have to upgrade things that you don't want to upgrade, and you'll be able to not be broke like so many other players are going to be. So this little button, again, is just down here in the bottom left. It says select items to destroy, but it should really say select items to sell. And it's maybe just a small localization error. But super cool and a great way to earn Mora. Okay, speaking of respecting resin, we talk about resin refreshes. I'm refreshing max every day. I'm also spending quite a bit of resources on the game. If you're not spending and you're either free to play or you're a light spender, I would still refresh your resin probably twice a day. After that, the cost starts going up a bit more than is probably comfortable for you when you're trying to balance between pulling for characters and doing things that cost resin. But everything in the game that you need for progression is going to require this, right? Your bosses require resin, right? Your domains are going to require resin. And there are different kinds of domains that you're going to need to go into, from things for talent books to weapon materials to, artifacts, right? And so you're going to be using resin a lot, and if you decide to run ley lines, you'll use it there as well. Speaking of ley lines, that's going to bring us into our next tip, which is the battle pass. Once you unlock the battle pass, which I believe is AR20, you're going to want to do all your quests to advance it and get all these sweet rewards, right? And there's daily missions, there's weekly missions, and then there's missions related to just the battle pass. And when you go into your weekly missions, you're going to scroll down and you're going to look at them, and you're going to come across this: complete ley line deposit challenge 20 times. Holy smokes. Every entry is 20 resin, so 20 times 20, you do the math, that's a lot of resin, right? And you don't really want to spend it there because there's so many other good places you can go and you can spend it and you can get a lot of value back. And so in the open beta, interestingly, this achievement required you to actually open the flower after you did the ley line. But in global, they changed that. You don't need to complete the ley line. You can go there, you can do it, you can farm the really hard monsters that appear, like the Abyss or the really big Hilichurls. You can get their crafting materials, which will be really useful for you, but you don't actually have to beat them. Just walk away from the flower afterwards, and you'll see that this count actually goes up. So you can complete all 20 in a week without having to spend all your resin on it. It's a really good idea. There are other ways to make Mora, as we've already discussed, and for the EXP tickets, you're just going to get a lot of those, so I wouldn't even worry about doing it there. Okay, you can clear that one just to, again, help push the battle pass quest along, but just don't redeem it and save your resin for other things. Speaking of collecting and farming materials, make sure you are picking up everything. If you haven't been to the crafting table, or you just came here for the introduction, you may not have scrolled past this, or you may have done it but it was early in the game and you didn't know what you were doing and you forgot. But all those white materials that are dropping in the world can help you. Like, for example, this stained mask, which you're going to feel like you need a million of, right? 3 of those white broken masks will turn into the stained mask, right? And if you start collecting a bunch of stained masks, you can make an ominous mask. So like all this stuff comes back and you're going to use it here to be able to, progress your character and make sure you don't get behind. So please pick everything up. Do not skip on that white piece because you think, oh, I only use it like in the early levels and never again. It can help you. It can really help you propel your progress. And alchemy crafting is super important for that. So don't miss out on this. All right, let's talk about gear. Here we've got D-Luke, our homie, and D-Luke right now can crit for over 6,000 damage. Well, how is he hitting for over 6,000 damage at level 60? One, it has to be the right hit. It's got to be in his ultimate or at the end of his combo, just the right time to really get that in there. But 2, it's because we made sure to prioritize the right things in the artifacts. So when you're going through artifacts, there's a couple of things to keep in mind. First, what you really want and what's most important is attack. This isn't even upgraded all the way, but you're just looking for stats that have attack. Not everything can roll attack, but at least a few of your pieces can, specifically the time glass and the feather. The feather's guaranteed to. So make sure that you have attack on both of these pieces and you max them out. Don't even worry about substats. Don't even worry about set bonuses. Just boost your attack, okay? Later on, you could start thinking about, okay, how am I going to do something that min-maxes, right? How am I going to get that piece that has all the great substats? Like this flower, right? Crit rate, attack percent, crit damage. The HP is just okay, right? But like, this is a great substat roll. This is something that you'll probably look for long term, but in the short term, you're just looking for attack percentage. Or if you want to get a little cheeky with it, we actually did put some crit damage on him to be able to hit and break that 6,000 limit. And I think that we actually unlocked an achievement to crit for over 5,000 damage. So if you're somebody who's a completionist and you want to finish your achievements, that's also something to keep in mind. But make sure you're doing this. I would also say only invest in purple if you can. If you did some blue, it's no big deal to just advance like the adventurer book, but purples is probably the best place to start advancing, and then long term you'll replace everything with legendary gear, which starts dropping at 35 and really starts dropping I guess at 40 and 40. 35 I know you can get it from like doing 2 of the bosses in the game that cost 60 resin, and we won't spoil who those are. All right, cool. The other thing to keep in mind is 2 general tips that, pretty obvious. Make sure you're collecting all your Oculus. We have a ton of stamina. It's the first thing we did in the game on day 1, and it lets us just go basically anywhere sprinting. You'll just save a ton of time versus waiting for the recharge to happen. And then 2, make sure you're doing Abyss. If you don't know where Abyss is, you're just going to go through here. There's a little portal you'll activate and solve a puzzle, and it's over here on Musk Reef. When you do Abyss, you can get a whole bunch of Primo Gems that you can use for that resin reset we talked about, and you can also use it to roll for characters that you want to complete your team comp. Remember, after you enter the Abyss, that you're not actually getting your rewards for completion. You need to come back into this screen and you need to click on these chests to redeem the different rewards. And as you can see, we've already cleared through level 6 and we're ready for level 7. And we did miss 1 star here. We'll have to go back and get that. That one was my fault, but we could definitely do it. So after you clear those 8 levels, then there's some more levels beyond that that will reset monthly, and those are pretty good. So you're going to want to make sure you do that. All right. I think those are all the major tips that I wish I had known starting out that weren't necessarily highlighted in other videos I had watched. Definitely, I think people have talked about it, but make sure you're going around your world and collecting all your like plants, and you're checking your favorite characters to see what's required to ascend them. So you're getting that stuff. Stay on top of your boss fights so that you don't fall behind on materials. And of course, if you're running really cool weapons, make sure that you're paying attention to what those weapons require so that you're staying on top of those materials as well, especially these ones that rotate daily, right? You don't want to be on Sunday like rolling the dice hoping you get the material you want. You really want to find its targeted time, which is usually a weekday or Saturday. So yeah, and there's just some great weapons out there. You can really boost your strength up. All right, cool. Well, hopefully you enjoyed this video and you learned something. And yeah, if you're interested in having more Genshin Impact content, we obviously have a lot of different characters that we can run. And we'll be going through all of them, building them all up over the coming months, and doing videos on what we like about them, what we don't, what team comps we discover for Abyss, and so on. So I think we're going to have a lot of really cool content, and yeah, hopefully you'll come and hang out either on the live stream or here on YouTube. So hope this was helpful, and thanks again for tuning in. If you like the content, hit subscribe, and I'll see you next time.